Hey class, it's Melissa Cobb, and I'm doing take 3 now because I watched my first video and the second video and they were boring. So I'm going to talk about the same change, but I'm going to try to take out the doom and gloom that I saw in the video. I hope you enjoy hearing my story. So the change event that I'm going to talk about was being laid off in 2009 for the first time, and I was 2009. I was 42 years old, or approaching 42 years old. And I worked for a company. I was a training consultant, traveling all over the country. I felt like I was a jet setter, getting on planes every week, coming home on Thursday nights. And it was an awesome job. I loved the work. I was doing training design, development, and delivery for software implementations. So PeopleSoft, Oracle, SAP implementations. I worked with cool people. They were some of the smartest people I'd ever worked for before, and it was just awesome work. I was doing so many new things, and they would end because they were project driven. So I had a great life. My husband was working. Everything was wonderful. I was promoted in this company to a team lead, which I had 5 consultants all over the country that reported to me. So I was able to get my leadership development in there as well. Great company, great job. It was amazing. And then in 2008, I had been there a year so far. In 2008, I got promoted. But also my mom, who was the child care provider for my husband and I for our 2-year-old son at the time, had a medical emergency. And it prohibited her from taking care of Preston at that point. So my husband and I said, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to put him in daycare. Well, we always jokingly say we were the old people with the baby because I had him at almost 39. So I couldn't stomach putting him in daycare knowing I was going to be away in another state and couldn't get to him. So my husband and I, we talked more about it. We made a decision. I said, honey, we make enough money with my income. Why don't you just come home, take care of Preston, look out for my mom? And that's what we did. Sean gave a notice at his job. We started our one income family. We cut back on our eating out so much, and we were able to make it work. It was a great life. Again, great life, going well. Things were good. 2009 enters, and my company starts going through layoffs. There had been 2 waves of layoffs before I was laid off, and the third layoff was imminent. I was working on a project in North Carolina. My director called me the last week of the project and said, hey, I know you're traveling home on Thursday. Why don't you and I get together and talk on Friday? I was like, okay. And I had a feeling, guys, that I was about to be wave number 3 on the layoff train. And sure enough, I called my director back that Thursday. I said, okay, I'm going to call on the phone on Friday, but is this the layoff? And he said, well, we really didn't want to tell you this way. But I said, yeah, I'd rather you go ahead and tell me. He did. And it was me being laid off. And it was tough. We went from a 2-income family to a 1-income family to a no-income family. Can you imagine? We had vehicles. We had a house payment. OMG. And we had no income. I was in a state of shock, and I realized it after the fact, but I was in a state of shock. I had worked as a consultant before, doing the same kind of work as a training consultant. Never came to my mind to see if I could do that again. I went through the process of applying for unemployment, and my husband went and found a job. Things were okay, but I had an epiphany one day. I was like, Melissa, you have skills. Why don't you call some of your resources you used to work for as a consultant? And I did that. The young lady I called, I worked for her in the past. And guess what? She had a position available for me immediately. I went down and met with her that week. I started working for her the next week. And I made more money as a consultant than I did in the best job ever. And then I had liberty with my schedule because I was an independent consultant working for another independent consultant. It was awesome. So while the change sucked in losing my job without my making that decision, it was awesome in that I was able to remember how resilient we are. And I was able to remember that, hey, Melissa, you have some skills, go use them. And I was able to remember that I wouldn't regret the decision for my husband to come home to take care of our son, because that's the most precious commodity we have in this family is my little boy. And so we were able to bounce back. Did we lose some things? Absolutely. I lost a beautiful, beautiful QX56 Infinity SUV, I call it my big old honking truck. Couldn't take it, couldn't have it after I had no income to pay that note. So I downsized to a Ford Explorer. I think it was about 5 years old. But you know what? I had a car, so I was happy about it. Change is a gift if you can figure out how to unwrap it. And I'm happy to say that I was able to unwrap that gift. And that while I was upset about it when it happened, I learned that, Melissa, you can really figure it out if you stop, take a deep breath, and look at the resources and the skills and the talents that you have inside of you and around you. I hope you've enjoyed hearing my story about my big layoff. I served as a consultant for 2 years until I took the position I have today. And it's been all gravy since then. I can't wait to hear your change stories as well. Take care.